Hey ya peeps, it's Shaostoul again. I am going to be doing a short video about icons. They're really easy, super simple, and once you see this guide, you'll be like, how did I not know how to do that before? Okay, so load up Blender. As you can see, we have our old model from before, but this time I have a camera that is positioned to look at the model, and then I have a light to give it some light. The camera, if you remember from the previous episode, has a 128 by 128 resolution, and that's so it's properly scaled for SE. If it's 256 by 256 or anything else for that matter, you end up with weirdness in your block menu. So just to go over the render settings again, its X and Y resolution are 128. You set the scale to 100, go into anti-aliasing, 16, full sample, and then you go to shading, make sure it's transparent, and then it is the output tab where you make sure it's 16-bit, and we'll just use PNGs for now because you're going to be using GIMP to go from Blender to the PNG, GIMP to a DDS, and then I'll hop over into the CubeBlocks file to make sure you understand where that goes. Alright, so everything's set up. You have your settings, you have your camera, you have your light. Rendered it a few times to make sure it's how you want. You've made sure it fills this square as much as possible because you got a tiny space. You need to make sure people understand what the block is they're looking at. So go ahead, press F12, do a render, and here we go. We have a fancy icon. Go ahead and throw this by going to image, and then I'll go to save as image, and then we'll go to where I have all the mods at, which is, I have to go back to our mods folder, to the tutorial folder, to textures, GUI, icons. And we'll just call this SC cut cube icon. So as I said before, you want to preface all your stuff with your preface you want to go with. I use SC for Shell Corp, and then you go with the block name, and then for all your icons, I want you to go underscore icon. It is a naming convention. It'll make things a lot easier for you. Just do it. So go ahead and save that image. And if we go and look in the app data folder where you got the mods folder, tutorial, textures, GUI, icons, and look, we got an icon, but we're not done yet. We need to open this up in GIMP to make it a DDS image. So go ahead and open that. And now we're in GIMP. The simple way to do things is to go to File, Export. Don't need to change where the location is. So select by file type, go to DDS, and then compression, you want to do BC3/DXT5. And then always check generate bitmaps. Even if you don't need to use it, just do it. It's gonna make life easier for you in the long run. Do it when you're making your textures, do it when you're making your transparent textures, do it when you're doing your icons. Just get in the habit of doing it. Makes things easier. At least for space engineers. So click OK. And if we look in the icons folder, we now have a DDS. So what do we do with this DDS? Well, go ahead and copy the name, and we'll go back to the main directory of the mod, data, and then open up your cubeblocks file. And here we're looking at the mod, and you should see icon and then some mess of stuff and then slash icon. If you're following my tutorial, it'll be in the textures folder, in the GUIs folder, and the icons folder, and then it's the name of the model. Well, ours isn't called SC Tutorial Cube. We've changed it to be something else. So we'll go ahead and paste that name in there. So it's SC Tut Cube now with underscore icon. And then you can see .dds after it. You don't need .dds, but add it. If you don't have it on there, you're going to get an error while in the game looking at your mod. It's going to say, hey, this doesn't have the DDS after it. It doesn't need it, but it's better to have it. If you can't see, or if you didn't notice, I should say, I have a new font. I'm using a Source Code Pro. I believe that is by Adobe. And I hope it makes viewing this a lot easier for you guys. There's not going to be as much text crammed into the screen, but I just hope it makes it easier to see because somebody was complaining about that. I think that pretty much covers everything. We have the icon made. We put it into the folder, and that's about it. There is a individual working on a Blender toolkit, which is going to make generating icons super easy. And then it's going to auto generate the HKTs after you make the mesh for it. So your HKT is your collision mesh. He's got it set up so it can do custom properties, which is awesome. He's hoping to get animations working, but we're not sure if that's going to come before or after Blender 2.72 comes out. I imagine it's going to be after 2.72 makes its release. So keep an eye on that. I will put his link to his thread in the description so you can go keep an eye on it. It is released, but it's still experimental. So I personally suggest to avoid it for now, just so you don't run into any problems and aren't able to fix it. There's a few people that are working on it. I'm throwing in my suggestions here and there. If you have any ideas or whatever that could help them out, go ahead and comment. I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about. The one last thing I wanted to talk about was I'm probably going to end up having to pick up a second job. So my time for working on Space Engineers is going to go from about 4 to 6 hours a day to probably about near nothing because I need to pay my bills and student loans suck and rent sucks. So if people could help me out by signing up to my Patreon account, that would be amazing. As always, the link is in the description of the video, and there's the link on all my workshop pages and my thread. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, as per usual, post here or my thread, and I'll try to get back to you. I don't get notifications for YouTube videos as quickly, so if you want a urgent response, post it on my thread. Yeah, I think that wraps everything up. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.